All right. Hey, everybody. Just making sure we're set. Yeah. All right. Well, Pastor Matt here. I'm going to try to tackle a fairly large topic in just a quick amount of time because it seems to have generated a little bit. And maybe this will be a catalyst for a longer addressing on this. So I'm just making sure we're okay here. So a couple days ago, there was an article that came out from the Atlantic, and the title of it was "A Shift in American Family Values is Fueling Estrangement." And I'm like, family, that's interesting to me because I understand. I believe that the family, and especially as a family, not especially the family as God designed it, I believe that's a bedrock of our entire society. But more and more, I'm hearing about this dynamic come up from various corners. And the particular quote that got me was what I featured on my Facebook page. And it said this: estranged parents often tell me that their adult child is rewriting the history of their childhood, accusing them of things they didn't do, and or failing to acknowledge the ways in which the parent demonstrated their love and commitment. Adult children frequently say that the parent is gaslighting them when by not acknowledging the harm they caused or are still causing, failing to respect their boundaries and or unwilling to accept the adult child's requirement for a healthy relationship. Now, this is a real deal. This is an absolute real thing that's going on, and I will again repost that article. But so what we're seeing here is just based upon things because you cannot control how anyone else reacts, even your own children. However, you can control how you react to them. And adult children, you can't control how your parents did something, but you can control how you're reacting to them. And I believe that there needs to be an extension of grace on both sides. Now, as we read through this, there was a couple of other quotes that were in here. It's just really interesting. Let me just pop down here. All right, here's one. Deciding which people to keep in or out of one's life has become an important strategy to achieve that happiness. While there's nothing especially modern about family conflict or a desire to feel insulated from it, conceptualizing the estrangement of a family member is an expression of personal growth, as it is commonly done today and is almost certainly new. Now, when we begin to think about this, I think this needs a bigger and a longer treatment. But we need to make sure that we are extending grace both ways. Now, how and this is about any dynamic, I believe, how you intended something to go and intended something to be portrayed. Now, that does not mean that is how it is always going to be received by somebody else. And if you've been as a child, an adult child, if you've been on the receiving end of some things, we've got all got to be sure that we're not rewriting history to favor ourselves. All right, so in both cases, in both ways, we need to make sure that we are extending grace to each other, especially as we get to adulthood. The shift, I believe, has happened. And you may see this in the article, you may not, but I think the shift has happened is because sometimes we spend so much time, and I think adults do it as well. Even the Gen X and the Boomers, we do it as well. Is that we are very willing to not let people in our lives that either don't agree with us or make us feel bad about ourselves or question how we're doing things. It is very easy for us to unfollow or block or ghost. It's very easy for us to do that. And I think that is to our detriment because I think there are aspects where we can always be learning and always be moving. As we grow up, we have to make sure that we're doing all we can. And yeah, if there comes a point where there needs to be a break or there needs to be some time where you as an adult child, you may just need to say, look, I've got to figure this out. I've got to go my own path. I still love you, but you got to give me a minute. Or you as an adult, you have to maybe let go of some expectations that you have of your children when you're thinking about what your life's going to be like, and you're expecting this type of reaction as you always have. You know, one of the things that the scripture teaches us when we leave our father and mother and we go and make our own families, we cleave to our husbands to wives, wives to husbands, is that the primary now relationship on earth here, Christ is the ultimate relationship, but the primary relationship we have here on earth is our family. And so we as parents need to recognize that and to make sure that we have prepared them as well as we can. Yeah, we're going to blow it. Yeah, we're going to make mistakes, but prepare them as well as they can so that when they go, they are now taking what they've learned. And yeah, they're going to take some of the good things and they may spit out some of the bones that we may have put to them, but we have to let them do their own family. And when we come and are around them, we have to respect that. There's just got to be some boundaries. And because they're not your little child, little girl anymore. Now, you as an adult, as an adult child, you've got to realize what your parents are going through. And there is clearly something that needs to be expressed. And there's clearly something that needs to be understood about boundaries both ways. Um, it's a shame when it comes to a certain time in a certain area of our lives where we have to make those hard calls. I would say that if you're a parent, don't put your child in that position. Let them live, especially if they're doing really well. Let them live a life. That's what you prepared them for. And if you're a child, just honor your father and mother and respect them, but make sure that there is this communication and understanding of this is what these boundaries need to be. And clearly this needs to be further addressed. And I hope to do that as well. But we're all sinners, all trying to figure out how we are interacting with one another. But I just want to make sure that we are extending grace to both sides, that it goes both ways. But that we also recognize that, that grace and that understanding and that love of neighbor. But also we have to make sure that we are not so taking advantage of whatever boundaries that someone has set up for, that we're making that person who's setting the boundaries really make a hard call and a hard decision. That's making sure you're loving them as well. It works both ways. Boy, if you could sort through that, well, God bless you. I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think. I'll repost that article in from the Atlantic in the notes. But well, let's just extend grace to one another, but make sure we're helping each other out and not crossing too many boundaries that don't need to be crossed. All right. God bless you all. Bye bye.